Welcome back to another episode of Album Build Club. This week, we're going to be dealing with a lot more of just the playability of the guitar. So we're going to be dealing with the nut, the saddle, the intonation, and all the strings that we're putting on it. Also, if you haven't noticed, we do have a new neck on here. We tried to do a tutorial we found from another YouTuber's page. Unfortunately, it did not go as planned, and too much was taken off of the neck and it was unplayable. Accidents happen. You do have to play and do things at your own risk when you're doing this. We made a mistake, so we just got a new neck and we're gonna press forward.
So moral of the story, don't take a razor blade to the neck of your guitar. It's not a good idea, no matter what established YouTubers say.
Alrighty, what are we gonna do first?
What do we have to do to the nut?
Somebody bring Bustu.
So this is the original plastic nut that came out of the guitar, came out of the neck, the new neck, which by the way, is out of a Squire Starcaster. I just happened to lose the logo when, so since Starcaster came off, I decided to give us some Album Book Club love there on the headstock. So plastic nut's coming out, bone nut's going in. This is a pre-cut nut off of Amazon, like all the rest of the parts. It's been the theme of the build. Pre-cut nut should be a little too big. That's on purpose. So I have a few different grits of sandpaper. You guys know the drill. You can't put it back once you take it off, so be careful.
Yeah.
Neat fact, real bone smells absolutely terrible when you sand it. That's how you know it's real bone.
Don't do this at home, kids.
And now that we've shaped the nut to where it fits down in its socket, you don't actually have to glue it in. The string pressure will hold it in. It's just annoying if you do a string change and it's not glued in. I like to use basic household Elmer's glue rather than getting super glue or something like that in case I have to change the nut again or in case I have to work on the guitar again. This does the job plenty fine. Kindergarten arts and crafts, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we're gonna do the saddles. So the biggest trick I like to do, I do them one at a time and I match the saddle up to where the old one was. And that's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna get us a whole lot closer than nothing. A lot less frustrating to start from something, not from scratch.
This is gonna take a while.
All right, so the next step, we're gonna take this back cover off. I'm gonna then immediately throw it away. Some people like them, it's just in my way. So, unless there's something hideous under here. Judging on the fact that there's only 3 screws out of 6, there might be something hideous under here. I don't know, what do you think? Other than a thin block, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's okay.
While I'm back here taking the cover off, I know what gauge I like, so I'm gonna go ahead and adjust spring tension slightly by adding a spring. Ooh, mismatched spring. Okay, let's grab the other spare one I have, and we're gonna make zebra spring. So we'll adjust this some more later, but essentially on a Strat, you have a vibrato system, which Leo Fender called a tremolo, that is controlled here at the bridge. This is the fulcrum point, so it moves, goes up and down. Oh, I have this. Kind of crude here, but you can see it move. Just bends on the fulcrum. In order to do that, it has to have springs to counteract the string tension. The original idea is for these to be the exact same tension as the strings on the front of the neck. That makes it kind of interesting when you do what I'm doing and use something like 10 to 52s with a light top and a heavy bottom. I need to either change the direction of the claw a lot, or I need to do what I'm going to do and put in an uneven amount of springs. I'll show you that in just a second. Now that we have the springs changed and the tremolo sort of situated, I'm gonna put the strings on, but first I need to use this pencil so that I can get some lubricant on the nut slots. Just use some graphite to make sure the strings can glide back and forth. I hate those things.
putting the strings in to string it. You want to turn that camera on.
To do strings in vintage tuners, the strings actually have to go down through the center of the tuner and then lock backwards. But as you see when I do that, there's going to be, I don't know, an extra 8 inches of string here. So what I like to do is I like to do 2.5 up from the headstock. I just do these so often that I can pretty much tell what the links are as soon as I get them to the headstock. For the wound strings, correct technique is to bend the string as tight as you can get it. I like to use pliers sometimes if I'm really worried about it pulling, and then you cut it on the bottom of the bend just to keep the core from slipping. This shouldn't happen with these Ernie balls. It's really only important with bass strings, but since this 52 is so big, it makes me feel better. I don't need to do it on any of the other strings. And once I get some tension going, and it's kind of forming, I like to do the first wrap completely loose. I grab a string winder, it's just a basic one. Speed the process up a little bit.
I love Slipknot.
I'm gonna have to give the truss rod some relief before I can get anything. Neat fact. So to adjust the truss rod, we're gonna want to make sure we have the Allen wrench that fits, which I've already done here. How to adjust your truss rod. On most top access truss rods, what you're gonna wanna do to loosen the tension on the truss rod, which is what we're doing here, is to push away from you. You should feel the actual nut on the end of the rod loosening. This hurts my fingers, so I like to use the end of my all-in-one as a handle. Just be careful when tightening with this, you can break some stuff. We're getting there. I can hear some resonance, so I'm close enough that I want to try to get to a pitch. For that, should have a little tuner pedal here. So what we're checking now is the intonation. So that is that the tuning of the note in octaves is the same. Because of how a guitar works, string lengths have to change, things like that. We make up for that in the saddle by intonating it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check open. I'm going to check the 12th fret, so an octave up, and then I'm going to also check the harmonic all at the same time. And that's going to give me 3 different comparisons to let me know which way to go. And I never remember which way is which, and it's never super far off, so I just kind of wobble it around until I get it happy. So the reason I detune if I'm tightening is I don't want to overstretch the string. Sometimes if you stretch them too far, they don't really like to come back. That's pretty good. Now that I've gotten it close, I'm going to finalize the action using a radius gauge, assuming I remembered to bring that with me. They were on top. This is what it should be, I think. So what I'm using to do the final check is called a radius gauge. This is what I believe this neck to be, a 12-inch radius. So as you can see, the bottom has the exact curvature of what's on the neck. So I'm going to use this to gently touch, just kind of rest against the strings. There's a bunch of ways you can do this, but I'm just listening to it lightly buzz. So you hear the D is kind of playing a note and the G is sort of playing a note. So I know the D needs to come up some and then the G needs to come up a little. What you want to see on a Strat tremolo is it flat. You don't want to see it twisting or doing anything goofy on the bottom. Essentially that can possibly lead into binding and other issues. It's designed to work on one plane only, not also this one. The height is kind of personal preference. There are really 2 camps. If the bridge is touching the body, it transfers more sustain. But as the bridge was designed to be floating, you get action both ways. So That's the way I tend to prefer to go. If I'm going to use the tremolo at all, I set it up for the kind of looser sound. And that way, even if I bend up, as long as I don't bend up to the body, I'm getting a consistent sustain. It's never changing. I don't know why if it adds sustain, you want it touching in the first place. So I still got a few buzzes. I'm working out. I'm just trying to get the string stretched. You shouldn't be hitting it that hard. Almost there.
Trap buzz.
2 hours later.
So we've got it playing the way we want it to. Now we're going to take it back to the studio and record some demos of it in its new state.
Thank you for watching another episode of Album Build Club. Let us know what you want to see us build. Let us know how you think we did. Let us know how you think the guitar sounds. It's been real fun building it. It's been real fun playing it.
How do you think it sounds?
I think it sounds better than I was expecting it to. Maybe could use some work, but I think that's every guitar when you build it. Even if we were to take Fender out of box, we were gonna have to take it back apart anyway.
I don't know. I think that's not the case. I think with the expectations of, you know, the budget we had and what we've put in, I think we definitely got a very good playing guitar. You can definitely hear some of the cheap parts. There's a few things I wouldn't mind fixing if we were to go back through it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, if we had a higher budget, it would definitely be worth throwing maybe some better electronics at it. But as far as the playing goes, it's top notch.